Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I like to discuss what's known about the details of the Ukraine mineral agreement that Trump is pressuring Zelensky to sign imminently, how Trump is trying to avoid any security guarantees at all for Ukraine, which are worthless anyway, and what Starmer is expected to come away with after his meeting with the US president, ahead of informal talks about Ukraine between some European leaders at London this weekend. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So obviously there's a lot we really just don't know, but it's probably safe to assume at this point Donald Trump has no objection to Russia invading Europe on a large scale. As a result, I did wonder if one fruitful line for Starmer to take could be, Europe is a very good customer for the United States. It's a very good customer. Due to balances of trade, Trump doesn't see it that way, but the EU is actually America's best customer. The EU exports more from America than any other market in the world. Mexico's a close second. Russia's war has already hit European economies, meaning that their purchasing power is not as high as it could be. In other words, if we'd stopped Russia invading in the first place, if those original security guarantees for Ukraine had been worth anything, Europe and the UK would be buying even more American products right now. And following that trajectory, if Russia is allowed to expand its invasions, Europe and the UK will be spending less on American products, as not only their economy suffers, but they have to spend more on countering Putin. But if such an argument could work, it would surely already have been deployed. If Macron could not get much out of Trump, when he is much more experienced at dealing with the orange man-child, I'm not really sure what we can expect of Starmer. Besides, even if he did get Trump to agree to something useful, what's to stop his equally Russophile advisors whispering in his ear and getting him to change his mind the next day? Part of the problem is that Trump is not interested in American interests, but only his own personal interests. And if, as reported, he personally has a lot of business interests in Russia, it won't necessarily matter that American exports to Russia are worthless and the EU buys more of their stuff than anyone else in the world. In fact, on this screen, showing flags around the world in proportion to how much stuff they import from the USA, I had to do the Russian flag according to pre-2022 levels of trade. For obvious reasons. It's still too small to easily see even then. But I can't even put the most recent trade on there because it's less than a pixel and Photoshop told me to go away. It makes no sense that a US president would look at the situation politically or economically or even militarily and conclude that Russia should be the side they're backing, which means that sense is not likely to prevail with Trump. I have a very bad feeling about the way this is going. Trump has already said that he is not prepared to give Ukraine much in the way of security guarantees. Not that anyone should trust any guarantees provided anyway. Ukraine already had cast iron security guarantees from the United States in return for surrendering its nuclear weapons. Can't even blame Trump for reneging on those guarantees before his time. So would Ukrainians even trust the guarantees if they were offered more enthusiastically? The only security guarantee is NATO membership, and even that is less than it was. But there is no suggestion of NATO membership in the deal proposed by Trump. The New York Times has reported to seeing a copy of the agreement Trump wants with Zelensky. They say there is now a mention of security guarantees, which was not there previously, but it is vague. And a vague promise by Trump is worth, well, not really more than a promise by Putin, is it? And you could write a book on the promises that Putin has broken. In fact, someone probably has done. Because the source material is already being added to. Just ask Prigozhin. Oh, wait, you can't, can you? So I'm not entirely sure what Ukraine gets from its mineral deal with Trump. If it offers no guarantees, what's the incentive for Zelensky to sign at all? Well, the only thing appears to be, so if American companies are mining in parts of Ukraine not occupied by Russia, then the United States may not care about Ukrainians, but they will want their own people protected. Maybe the deal is giving America mining rights in, strategically important areas. I don't know. I do know that according to the New York Times report, and they say they've seen the deal, America's security guarantee is pretty much an expectation that they don't want their mining operations disrupted by future Russian invasions, right? So if Zelensky can try to arrange it so that mining operations are between Russian forces and Ukrainian population centres, then it might be better than nothing. Problem is, I'm looking at the mineral maps of Ukraine. I'm no expert, I'm not a geologist. And I'm not sure that is the case. Still, there would have to be protected routes between the quarries and the cities and the ports for the American workers as well, wouldn't there? But what will the United States do to provide that protection, even if they're only interested in protecting American mining works and the supply chains, not Ukraine itself? Trump has insisted today that it is for Europe to provide the security guarantees. But is that really in Trump's interest? See, whatever force Europe can cobble together will care about major Ukrainian population centres, not American mining operations. If Russia's tanks start rolling again, and we all know they will, and if a European peacekeeping force does anything at all, it will be to protect towns and cities, not quarries out in the arse end of nowhere. If Trump tries to say, oh, you got to protect our quarries, why? Why would we? It's really this simple. America wants to protect its mining operations, doesn't give a shit about Ukraine. Europe wants to protect Ukraine, doesn't give a shit about the mining operations. This misalignment in America and European interests works both ways. If Trump thinks European forces will lift a finger to protect his precious mining corporations, he can think again. Might that be a useful line to take? That if Trump wants those mining operations protected, he will have to commit US forces to Ukraine, including for the protection of ports, to keep supply chains working. Then the European forces can look after other areas, because the European forces will only be interested in protecting European citizens, not Americans and their digging equipment. And then going back to Starmer's visit, so one thing which is being mentioned in the media is he'll try to explain to Trump that without proper security, Russia will invade later on. Then Trump will look like a complete tit when his peace deal is trampled under Russian tank treads. I'm not sure Starmer intends to refer to Trump as a complete tit in this scenario. I'm sure he'll come up with something a bit more diplomatic. I just don't know what Starmer can realistically come away with other than vague assurances. But one thing that will definitely have to be thrashed out, and even Trump needs this, is that peacekeeping forces of some description are in Ukraine, even though he only wants them to protect those mining operations. When Trump said that Russia was fine with European peacekeepers stationed in Ukraine when he was talking with Macron, the Russian government almost immediately contradicted him and said, no, we're not happy with that. Not that we should give a shit about what Russia wants Ukraine to do with its own sovereign territory, but that is still a sticking point for what Trump is having the nerve to call his peace deal. He needs peacekeepers in Ukraine to at least protect his mining operations. We know that Trump is desperate for that mining to take place because of the urgency with which he wants Zelensky to sign. I mean, what's the rush? Can't send American mining companies in until it's secure, can we? It's not secure until there's a peace agreement, even a worthless one. So Trump pushing for this mining agreement so urgently shows his hand. It shows how desperately he wants it, which means he also desperately wants at least the related parts of Ukraine to be secure. He obviously doesn't want American forces doing so, though, like I say. I would just make it clear to him that European peacekeepers will be there to protect Ukrainian cities, not American miners. I assume the Ukrainian farmers can look after themselves. They have tractors. Actually, maybe what we actually need is a peacekeeping force of Ukrainians in tractors. That worked pretty well in 2022. But that is still an issue for Trump. Russia says no to peacekeepers in Ukraine. Even Trump needs some security in Ukraine. Maybe those are the lines that we can use to work on Trump. He needs security for his mining agreement to be worth anything. And it needs to be American forces doing so, because European ones should absolutely tell him, yeah, we'll be looking after the Ukrainians. We'll see. But I still don't think it's possible to overstate just how dumb Trump is all in this. So again, you think it through logically and then you just think, logic doesn't work here, does it? So my expectations, I'm afraid, remain rock bottom. What a difference an election can make. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.